Welcome every one of you for joining us in this admission talk. Well, and this is an admission talk for BFB Science program. So please make sure that you're in the right classroom. BFB Science program, Bachelor of Education and Bachelor of Science. And in today's session, we're going to get started with a short thematic talk titled Metaphorizing Science Teachers, for you to have a taste about what a course or the learning experience in this program may be. Well, followed by what our students say, and we have invited a student speaker, Kenneth, and he is going to share with all of you his learning experience in this program. He is in year 4 already and has just finished his teaching practicum. I'm sure he's going to have a lot to share with you. Well, and then we're going to have admission tips. I'm going to share with you some admission tips. And last but not least, we're going to have a Q&A session. Well, and without further ado, let's get started with the thematic talk. With this question, describe a good science teacher. Please use keywords. So I suppose that all of you should have taken science before. So no matter whether it's your senior secondary, junior secondary, or maybe even primary. So you may have come across some good science teacher. Can you use some keyword to describe him or her? And there is no right or wrong answer. So just feel free to share your keywords. Who would like to share?
A good science teacher should be keen on teaching.
Keen on teaching, thank you. A good science teacher should be keen on teaching. Yes, please.
It should be very interactive.
Very interactive. I love your point about interactive and to engage the students. How about yes?
A good science teacher should be knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable, thank you. Right, knowledgeable, which may be a basic requirement of a science teacher. How about something on this side? Can I have some responses, some suggestions on this side? Yes, please.
A good science teacher should be friendly.
Thank you. Should be friendly. Yeah, to build connection with our students. Any suggestion from you?
Precise and accurate.
Precise and accurate. Very good. Precise and accurate. Well, could be some basic descriptions of a good science teacher with the use of keywords. Anything else?
Observant.
Observant, thank you. Being very observant. Well, I love that you have used various keywords to describe a good science teacher, but after all, they are just words, keywords. What can be better than words to describe a good science teacher? Any alternative ways to describe a good science teacher other than using words? Any suggestions? Any thoughts? Yes, please.
Maybe the scores of the teacher's student. Scores and like homework from his or her students.
I see. Thank you. So somehow it links to the concept of assessment based on students' performance. Yeah, that could be one way, one indicator, I would say. Well, any other suggestions other than words or maybe student performance? Yes, please. Louder, please. Can you shout out?
Actions.
Actions.
Help students.
I see how a teacher may help students practically using actions, through their actions. Very good, thank you. Well, and other than words, student performance, actions, perhaps we can use pictures. So after all, there's this saying that if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a metaphor may be even better than a picture. So a picture is better than words. But then a metaphor is even more powerful compared with a picture. A picture is worth 1,000 pictures. A metaphor is worth 1,000 pictures, according to this saying. Well, and for the concept of metaphor, the word metaphor originates from a Greek word meaning to carry across, and that by means of metaphor, it is about internalizing one's understanding of the new situation. In this case, the new situation is a good science teacher. By relating new information directly to prior experience, and thus metaphor offers a vehicle for learning about one's own thinking. Let me give you a simple example. If you want to describe that, oh, you're very tired with the use of metaphor. So one possible metaphor could be, oh, I'm running out of battery. It's like my body is running out of battery. So it could be a metaphor for describing how tired one could be. Well, when it comes to describing a teacher, so I would like to borrow pictures from this study where the participants, they were student teachers and they were asked to use pictures to express a metaphor for describing teachers. And here are some pictures collected from student teachers. So like the one here on the left-hand side with a pot of flowers. What could the metaphor be? So, well, it could be about like being a teacher is like being a planter. A planter that is the one taking care of the flowers. It's like students are the flowers and teachers are the planters taking care of the students. And for the picture here on the right-hand side, a burning candle. How would you make sense of it? A burning candle as a metaphor for teachers. Who would like to try? Yes, please.
Teacher can guide students in the darkness.
Very good. A teacher can guide students in darkness. A teacher is like a light in the dark. And there is an alternative interpretation. So some of my students will interpret it as, oh, a teacher would sacrifice himself or herself for the students, like a burning candle. Well, and here are some more metaphors for a teacher, for describing a teacher, like a gardener taking care of the students, like gardener taking care of the plants. A juggler, being a teacher, should be able to do multitasking, managing multiple tasks at the same time. A second parent, like treating your students as if they were your kids, your own kids. A tour guide introducing a place to tourists. So for teacher, like a science teacher would introduce scientific concepts to the students. A superhero, very powerful, can do anything. A compass showing direction to students. A salesman aiming to satisfy customers. That may be more like a negative metaphor, treating the students as if they are customers. Well, a conductor leading an orchestra. So it's like a leader. A teacher is like a leader. So there are different metaphors for describing a teacher. So if you're asked to come up with a metaphor for describing a good science teacher, what would that be? I have asked my students this question in their very first education course, and that is using a metaphor for describing a science teacher. So you're welcome to ask our student helpers what their metaphors of the science teachers that they may propose at the time when they were in year one taking my course. So what's so special about science teacher compared with teachers from other disciplines would be they conduct lab sessions. When it comes to lab sessions, safety is of foremost priority. And that is why here we have this metaphor, a lifeguard. Science teacher is like a lifeguard because he has to be responsible to students and stay alert in various experiments to protect the students, to make sure that they are safe. And here is another metaphor, a magician. Science teacher is like a magician, unveiling the mysterious and intriguing nature of science to the audience who are the students. So students are the audience. Every time when the teacher conducts an experiment, like doing a demonstration, it is like performing a magic show. He or she amazes the students by showing a color change or detecting a special smell. Just like a magician surprises the crowd with an unbelievable magic. Amazing the students with various kinds of experiments, as if the teacher is a magician. Well, and it is interesting that for some of our student teachers, they would borrow from science concepts and use them as metaphors for describing a science teacher. And here is one of the examples, a strand of DNA. Science teacher is like a strand of DNA because he inculcates useful science knowledge to his students and passes on the wisdom of science from the older generation. It's like, well, their teacher has learned some scientific knowledge from his or her teacher, and then passing such knowledge down to their own students. It's like from one generation to the next. And here is the one about friction. Science teacher is like friction. A good science teacher is friction that is useful. For example, the friction between the shoes and the floor makes us able to move forward, which means a good science teacher can help students make improvements and make a step further. If lacking in this kind of friction, we may slip and not able to move. So good friction is like a good science teacher. And what I like about this metaphor is it differentiates between good science teachers and bad science teachers. However, a bad science teacher is the friction that makes students difficult to get forward, such as compressing students' creativity and imagination. Well, and by the way, there is a common misconception that science is 100% objective and there is no creativity, no imagination in science. Well, and in our program, we're going to come back to this statement and to revisit about whether it is true or not. Well, and normally after a class activity, we will leave some reflection time for our students, or giving them some questions for reflection. Like, what is your metaphor representing science teachers? So that is the activity per se. And then you'll have to reflect on the proposed metaphor. Does it distinguish science teachers from teachers of other subjects? And does it distinguish good science teachers from any science teachers? It is important for teachers to be able to reflect on their own teaching practice. And we aim at supporting our student teachers to become reflective practitioners, because we believe that students do not just learn from their experience, like from their own teaching experience, and that they learn from reflecting on experience, reflecting on their teaching experience, reflecting on their learning experience. And that is a famous saying that John told me. And that is why for reflection, it is quite a common practice for us in this program. We always engage our students in reflecting on experience. Well, and that's all for my part on thematic talk. And now I will pass the floor to Kenneth, and he's going to share with you his experience in this program. And Kenneth is our year 4 student, as mentioned, and he has just finished his teaching practicum.
Thank you. Okay. So hello everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for participating in this JUPAS Day. Before we start, I'd like to thank the faculty and also Professor Leung, Dr. Ip, for giving me this opportunity to share my experience in this program. So my name is Kenneth, and I'm currently in year 4, and of course, I major in education, and I chose biology as my second major. And I also minor in psychology, and I will touch on that later. So let's address the elephant in the room. So the first impression or the first statement that people say when they hear that I study a double degree in Hong Kong is that, oh, you study a double degree in 5 years? Would that be very stressful? Well, if I say it's not stressful, it's lying. Of course, in exam periods, it's a little bit stressful, but honestly, if you're studying in university, you will feel stressed in the exam periods. But also, these are my timetables. So you can see this is in year 3 semester 1, and this is in year 4 semester 1. And actually I have 2 day offs. So in those day off, this holiday, you can do whatever you want. You can go do part-time or do your hobbies. So I would say it's not too stressful, but a little bit of caveat. I think biology education is a more chill because we have less lab compared to chemistry education, and we have less homework and tutorials when you compare with physics. But overall, I would say it's not too stressful. So if you're interested in the details, you can scan the QR code here for the science curriculum. So I would say for year 1 and 2, it's more about the fundamentals of biology. Because there's hundreds of people in a lecture hall, so of course it will be less about discussion and more about factual knowledge. But once you build up your factual knowledge about biology and you move on to higher years, you will engage in more critical thinking, and there's more room for you to discuss with your professors during the lectures. So for me personally, I would enjoy the higher years biology course more. So of course it's science, so we would have labs, and I would think the biology lab in Hong Kong is very interesting. So for example, you can see here, there's 3 like potion. So what are they? So it's in one of the labs, our professor tells us to go to the Hong Kong U canteen and buy some food there and sample it and test whether if the food is safe or not. And the result, it's safe. Don't worry, if you get into Hong Kong U or our program, you're safe, okay? So, and we'll also go to outdoor ecology trips. So in this course, we went to a 5-day ecology trip, but it was during COVID, so it was cut short to 3 days. But still, we have a lot of opportunities to work with professors and also professionals to learn how to do actual ecological study. And I learned a lot on ecology. And then I also asked my classmate to give me some pictures of their labs. So for chemistry, my classmates say they think it's way more interesting than secondary school. They have a lot of apparatus, like Victor. He said he feels like a professional because the apparatus is very pro. So, right. And then for physics labs, so physics, it's quite different from biology or chemistry because there's less about labs. So if you're not interested in the lab section about physics, you actually have to only do around 8 labs throughout your entire Hong Kong U career. But for chemistry or biology, maybe you will do more than that in just 1 semester. And this is a very interesting thing for me. This is a telescope located at the physics building, on top of the physics building. And if you take the astronomy course, you can actually use the telescope to look at the moon, Jupiter, or even some stars that cannot be seen with your naked eye. So I just mentioned that I minor in psychology. So in Hong Kong U or in any university, you don't just study the subjects that you're majoring in. You have something called 3 electives. Basically means that you can use this credit to study the subjects that you're interested in. For example, if you love philosophy, economy, Latin, Japanese, if you're interested, you can take those courses. And for me in particular, I am very interested in psychology. So I use all of the credits to study psychology so I also get a minor. So I learned a lot about psychology, and I think the most important learning is about mental health and counseling, because unfortunately in Hong Kong now, the well-being among students or even adults, it's going down. So I think it's very useful for myself and also my peers and my students. So let's talk about education. So for year 1 and 2, we will study general educational courses in a whole class. So for our program, I think it's very special among Hong Kong U or even any university. We intake around like 20 or 30 students. So you can imagine a class size is very small. And because we have to take courses together every time, so we'll always see each other and we'll always work on different projects. And because in our year, we have 18 intakes and all of us are males, so we are called the Sabat Lo Hon by our faculty. But don't worry, I think judging by this ratio today, the male and female ratio will be more normal this year, hopefully. So these are some pictures of the physics people having fun in school visits. And this is taken last week after our practicum was finished and we went out to have dinner together. And this is a video showing the physics people having fun in their education lesson. Something like some teacher. You can see they're enjoying themselves quite a lot. So after year 1 and 2, you learn about the fundamentals of education. You will specialize. So if you're majoring in biology, you'll go into biology education. Same for chemistry and physics. So in so right, sorry about that. After we specialize, we'll learn about the specifics of our own education. So for me, I will need to learn about the specifics of biological education. So like how can we teach practical work or experiments? So we can see Mickey Mouse here, he sacrificed himself for my learning. Not only do we need to learn how to dissect it, but we also need to learn how to demonstrate to our students, like how can we dissect it in front of our students and our students can actually see the mouse and how can they learn during the dissection. And we will need to learn how to spark students' interest towards boring topics. I know everyone has their own boring topics in their minds. So for example, in this one, a lot of students would think respiration is a boring topic because it's very memorization based. So this is produced by one of our professors and also a student in our faculty. Have you ever tried molecular cuisine, 分子料理? Heard of it? Right, so we're doing that. We are turning each solution into tiny beads so they can use it into experiments. And the students generally like to do it. And for this is designed by myself in one of the course. I need to design some interesting activity, and I hope it's interesting to you. So I went out to the beach and get some shells and put it into sandboxes, and the students have to count them and learn about the distribution and how to do ecological studies. And I tested both of these activities during my practicum, and my students generally love doing it. At least they're having fun. I don't know how much they learned. So during my practicum, I have many different roles, to be honest. The first one being a teacher. I'm a teacher, so of course I teach biology. And I think in my specialized strand, like year 3, I learned a lot of the skills and activities that I can use, so I'm very confident in. But I also learned that I have other roles during my practicum. Like I was lucky enough to be assigned as a class teacher for a Form 3 with my mentor. And also I'm their CA because I studied in that secondary school. And I think the most precious learning that I got is how I should interact with my students. And I think no amount of education course or theories is enough for you to learn how to do it. So what do I do when students suddenly come up to you and ask you a question that you don't even know the answer? How can you answer them? Or how do I manage a noisy classroom of Form 3 students with 30 to 40 of them? Or when should I be lenient and when should I be strict? For example, this is after school, my Form 3 students. They're having fun on their iPad playing Chinese chess. What should I do as a teacher, or what should I do as their CA? Should I stop them, or should I let them be? These are all experiences that you must try it once so you know what to do next time, and you should reflect on them. And I think the practicum is a very precious experience for me. Not only I can apply the knowledge and theories that I learned in Hong Kong U, but also I learned how to interact with them. So like these pictures are taken on the last day of my practicum. These are Form 4 students. They came to the lab and for some reason they give me banana. And then this is taken with my Form 3 students. They organize this by themselves. They say, oh, Mr. Leung, you are leaving. Let's do a lunch meeting to say goodbye to you. And I think these are very amazing experiences. So to end my sharing, I'll use 2 words to describe this program. The first one being flexibility. So we're a double degree program, so we can study knowledge about science and also education. And I would say the other one is opportunities to express ourselves, to apply our knowledge into the real society. I can go to practicum into school, and I also have other opportunities like overseas experiential learning. Like you can go to Singapore to do STEM workshops, and there's a lot of opportunities. Just ask your professors. So with that, I would like to say thank you, and I hope I can see you on Hong Kong U September. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Kenneth, for sharing your experience with us. Well, and the next part will be about some admission tips for those of you who are very interested in getting admitted to our program. And with reference to admission scores from last year, you can see that the median score would be 42, upper quartile 44, lower quartile 40. And here is the scoring formula. English, well, and for some subjects, they may have a different weighting, like biology, chemistry, mathematics, and physics. And here's the conversions of levels of scores. So if you get level 4, the score would be 4. If you get level 5, so the score would be 5.5. If you get 5-star, the score would be converted as 7. And for 5 double star, the conversion score would be 8.1. So the scores here, 42, 44 here, and 14 here, they are calculated based on this score with subject weighting for these subjects. And for the scoring formula this year, it is more or less the same. Again, we have English, we have maths, 1.5 weighting, best science subject, 1.5 weighting, together with your best 2 subjects with weighting. Well, and for weighting, you can refer to here, 1.5, that is for those subjects carrying a 1.5 weighting. Biology, chemistry, physics, maths. Well, and for further details, you are welcome to scan this QR code for more information about the program. And we have consideration of other factors, which is additional subjects, and it will only be applied when there is a type. Okay, normally we do not consider this factor, but then when there is a type, we will look into this factor. Consideration of HKDSE combined results and penalty for HKDSE repeaters. We will only consider the best results in the year 2024 and 2025. In other words, we are not going to consider your HKDSE results back in the year 2023 or before. We will just consider 2024 and 2025. Some strategies to get into our program. So the very most important strategy is, please put our program as your band A. In other words, that is the top 3 choices in JUPAS choice. Otherwise, you will not be considered. It has to be in band A. Must take and obtain level 3 or above in one of these science elective subjects, biology, chemistry, or physics. At least one. Achieve good results in maths and English language because they are both in the scoring formula, as you can see. Have a competitive edge for candidates studying more science elective subjects and M1 and 2 because they carry heavier weighting, 1.5. Again, we'll only consider the best results in years 2024 and 2025 only. In general, there is no interview for JUPAS candidates. And here are some myths about our program. Can I take B.Ed and B Science as a stepping stone and transfer to B Science or other programs in year 2? So basically, there is no exit point for B.Ed and B Science program. Say, for example, by the time when you are in year 4, so can you apply for a single degree of science and get graduated? No, that will not be a choice. You have to complete the 5-year program to get the double degree. Well, and for internal transfer would be subject to the approval of the honoring departments, and there is no guarantee of success. Which means that, so if you're admitted to our program in year 1, would it be possible for you to change to another program? Possible, but there is no guarantee. Okay, it depends on the authoring departments. Well, and I can be a mathematics teacher after graduation from this program. This is another bit. Okay. Our program is for preparing our student teachers to teach science at local schools. Okay, so that is the general aim of our program. And they are not prepared for teaching mathematics, just science. And the program aims to train qualified teachers in science subjects in Hong Kong. And the good news is that, for the upcoming cohort, by the time when you graduate, you will be eligible to teach science at both primary and secondary schools. That's the good news. Well, because normally, our graduates can only teach science at secondary school, but then starting from the upcoming cohort, you will also be eligible to teach at primary schools. Whether graduates can be recruited as a maths teacher, it would be subject to the contractual agreement between graduates and their prospective employers. Students are advised to declare minor in mathematics if you are really very much interested in teaching mathematics in addition to science, and take more maths electives to enrich their knowledge during the 5 years of studies and add colors to their portfolio. But then please bear in mind that we prepare our student teachers to teach science, not mathematics. Okay, so I have to make this very, very clear because it is quite a common myth. All right. So that's all I'd like to share for now. And we have a few minutes for Q&A session.